Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. We are right smack dab in the middle of our pancreatic cancer fundraiser podcast marathon. And we have our next guest joining us. We have Mexx. How's it going today?
It's going really well. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely excited to sit down and chat with you. It's funny. Instagram is like this weird place where you just kind of find people that have common interests. And I came across your Instagram page just kind of scrolling and really fell in love with your music.
Oh, well, thank you.
So how's everything going? I know you just dropped a new single a little over a week ago. So how's everything going with that?
Everything's going super well. Honestly, my phone's been blowing up like crazy. I've got my publicist working overtime because I've had a lot of interviews and magazines come in. So I've been busy with interviews and phone calls as well, and then answering interview questions that should be later published either by next week or the week after.
Amazing, amazing. So, speaking of the new single that dropped on just right before Halloween, correct?
Yes.
Deceptive Intentions. What's the story behind this song?
So, Deceptive Intentions is revolving around the main character of the film that came out in 2020. It's a small director from Memphis. His name is Robert L. Parker. He runs Rip Entertainment. Wrote this film, direct to film on Tubi. It's called Deceptive Intentions. And when I told him I do music and I showed him what I could do, I wanted to write the song that would directly correlate with the movie. So after the first table read, I got a hold of the script and I met the actress, and we kind of just got to know the main character Vanessa a little bit. So I tried to like delve into her mind really about like survival and growing up in a chaotic environment surrounding trauma, and then you kind of grow up not knowing like who to trust or um like how to navigate that world when you grow up that way. So you
Mhm.
just kind of your walls are kind of up like all the time, and so you basically exist to take care of yourself no matter what. So that's
Yeah,
what the story behind the song is. It's to match the film.
nice. Now, how did you get introduced to the film director? Are you in film outside of music, or did you just happen to know the? Yeah.
Well, I got to know Robert, back in 2017. This was right after I graduated college, and, there's actually quite a large film community in Memphis, so if you're able to talk to the right people, you can meet all sorts of people. So I met Robert actually through, a Facebook post because they were needing extras for another film he was doing at the time.
Mhm.
And so I showed up to set that day and I played a party goer extra. I was playing a club goer extra. And there were multiple days of filming where they just needed like people for crowds. So I would
Yeah.
show up to do that. And then later he got my information and he has rosters or a roster of certain actors that he will write scripts for. So he'll write a script and then he'll reach out to somebody that he knows to play in the lead. And
Mm.
that's usually what comes about it is that he'll still periodically reach out to me to ask if I want to come join a film.
Nice. Nice. That's really cool. Film is hard work. That's what I did for a few years was film production and all that
Yes.
stuff. And I've even been an extra on some films, and it seems easy, but being an extra is not always the easiest thing in the world.
No, no, no. It's hard work for everybody. It's a big, big team effort and everybody's got a role to play. But like it's
Mhm.
hard work, but like when everybody does put in that hard work, you just have this beautiful master piece of a craft that everybody else
Yeah.
can now enjoy.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. 100% agreed. So if that connection, that's how kind of Deceptive Intentions kind of came across, was you guys kind of met and you had the idea for the song, or was
I
it
had the
at?
idea for I had
Yeah.
the idea for a song and I did pitch it to him before submitting it. And I actually didn't find out that he used the song until I watched the movie.
Oh wow. That's that's great. And so then you're from Memphis, but you're currently based in Nashville, right?
Yes. Yes, I've been in Nashville for about 5 years now.
How's the it doesn't seem like that'd be a big transition, but anybody that's been to Memphis and Nashville, it's a huge transition.
It's
So
a very big transition. The city's a lot larger, there's a lot more happening. Luckily for me, I've had, like, the small introduction for it beforehand,
mhm,
because I've always l well, for one, I've always loved going to concerts, but,
mm,
um, growing up, a lot of my favorite bands or my favorite artists, whenever they would go on tour, the vast majority of the time, they would skip over Memphis, and they would just be going to Nashville, so I would
mm,
be taking road trips to Nashville to go see these concerts, and so sometimes I would stay the night, and sometimes I would just drive right back, even though it's only,
yeah,
like, 3 hours. It wasn't a big
yeah,
deal at the time. Now that I'm almost 30, it definitely is. Um,
right. I'm 37 and it's still not a big deal. I'll make that drive back because I'd much if I have the choice of sleeping in a hotel or making it back home to my own bed, I'm gonna take the time in my own bed every time.
oh, yeah, I definitely try. I'm aware that I'm probably not the safest on the road if I'm really tired.
Fair. Oh, well, I don't think anybody really is, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Oh, so growing up in Memphis, who introduced you to music? What obviously Memphis is a really well-known music city. Was it just kind of you living in the city that got you interested in music, or was your family musical? How'd you kind of get that initial introduction?
Honestly, yeah. Just living in Memphis and being surrounded by it 24/7. I know my dad was super inclined with music. I honestly developed more of a taste for his style than I did my mom's, and I think that's just mostly because he had control of the radio. But I was very much interested in music and what was happening, and I think there was this weird transitional period with like entertainment as well when I was a kid.
Hmm.
I have a lot of siblings, so the easiest way to entertain when you have like a lot of kids is to just sit them in front of a TV
Yep.
and let the TV entertain you. And I grew up with shows like on Disney Channel,
Hmm.
or Nickelodeon where people wanted to like get involved in the arts. They wanted to be singers, they wanted to be actors, they wanted to live that double life, or they wanted to like work hard and achieve their dreams. So I think like that influence from media as well had an impact on me as well. I think I was around maybe like between the ages of 8 and 11 when I was consuming those types of media.
Okay. Now that you point that out, there was that time where like that Hannah Montana time or the iCarly time where it was like everybody wanted to be in the entertainment
Mhm,
industry to some degree, and it's like
mhm.
I was a bit older when Hannah Montana came out and all that stuff. I think I was probably like in high school or just out of high school at that point. Um, and looking back at it, it's like, yep, that actually tracks very much so.
Hannah Montana was my favorite show growing up. I know Miley Cyrus, she's around my age, and so I felt connected with her in that way, and just watching that show growing up, I was just like, "I wanna do that."
Right, right, right. So when did you kind of make that jump into performing? Was it right around that same time, or was it once you got a bit older?
Um, there wasn't, a lot that was going on, at least when I was a kid, there wasn't a lot that was going on. The most I could do was sing choir for my
Mhm,
church, and then, a lot of the times my youth group would have, like, little talent shows, and I would just go up and sing. If there was an opportunity to sing, I would at least try, and then when I was in school, I was in choir. I would
mhm,
just try to put myself as much in the industry as possible.
mhm.
But I went to college for audio engineering to get more of
Yeah.
that behind the scenes feel for it.
Mhm,
And then afterwards, I moved back to Memphis, and my dad actually gave me a really good contact for here in Nashville. His name is Rivers Rutherford, and
mhm.
apparently they grew up like down the street, almost brothers to each other. And I remember this man because we used to call him our uncle. And
Oh,
I was,
wow.
you should have told me this.
Eh,
But yeah, he's a great contact to have because he's a great songwriter here.
hmm. Is it hard in Memphis to get a start in, like, playing your own original music if you're under, like, 18 or 21? Or is there, like, coffee spots that'll bring in independent, like, musicians?
If you know where to look, definitely. I would have to say that if you have literally 0 connections, like,
Mm,
whatsoever, it's definitely hard,
mhm,
but walking there's a lot of artists that are actually emerging from Memphis, and they've talked about like performing in coffee shops when they're interviewed. I have a
Yeah,
current friend in Memphis right now, and she's playing at bigger venues, but I'm pretty sure she's still playing at like these little restaurants and coffee shops like
yeah,
now.
yeah. Because like when you think of Memphis, obviously you think of like Beale Street, and
Mhm.
I'd imagine they're not letting 17-year-old kids come down to Beale Street and play in any of those bars. But
Well, for some of them, it'll depend. It never hurts to show up with a guitar case and
yeah,
ask, like they do here in Nashville all the time.
yeah,
They
yeah,
You have to just be brave enough to walk in and say, "I wanna perform here."
fair, fair, fair. So, obviously you've got your new song out now.
Mhm,
It dropped on the 30th, which
mhm.
is really exciting. What's kind of running through your mind right now? Obviously, you're a week out or a week after the release, but what's kind of running through your mind right now?
A lot. I have this group of friends right now. We're planning on going to LA in February for the Grammys. I have a couple of friends of mine who are in the recording academy, so we're just trying to figure something out from there. And everyone's got their own plans for their musical future. But recently, I've been talking to some of my friends. I'm actually in the market and trying to find like a producer or a
Hmm.
new music producer.
Yeah,
Um, but but I've also self-produced. Like Deceptive Intentions is a self-produced song as well. But if I can't find the producer that I want, then I'll just keep self-producing.
nice. And obviously, you learned how to self-produce being in going to school for audio engineering. Have you
Yes,
found like when you do get the opportunity to go into the studio, having that audio engineering background makes it easier to communicate with the producer?
absolutely.
Um, so where you kind of obviously we just talked about your new release, but where you kind of at creatively right now? Are you kind of always writing? Are you like where are you kind of at creatively right now?
I'm very much on a creative streak right now. I think ever since ever since the 30th, and I think before that, yeah, a week before that, a week before the 30th, I've been on a writing streak. I think my notes is overwhelmed right now with edits and songs that I've written, and even taking old stuff and like trying to revamp it. So amongst the amongst the interviews and other things that I've got going on, I've just been doing that as well. So writes and rewrites as well, and going out and meeting people and trying to get involved.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome. And so when you do kind of get 5 minutes to yourself or what have you, what do you like to do outside of music? What do you like to do for fun?
I really like to cook, and I have a cat that demands a lot of my attention. He's actually sulking on my couch staring at me right now because I'm not giving it to him. But I love to cook. I love to look up recipes. I love to try something new. I'm always like down to try something new. I love just sitting back, relaxing with food that I've made, maybe watch a TV show, or I talk to my sisters.
Nice. Have you watched anything cool on TV recently or gotten into
Um,
anything?
my partner and I have just binge rerunning like South Park. It's our favorite show.
Nice. I I was watching South Park last night. It's always a good time. So it's it's great. So kind of looking forward, how often are you playing shows right now? Are you playing pretty consistently, or are you kind of more focused on the creative aspect of things?
I am looking to play more. Um, I am actually trying to get into the Broadway scene. I might be able to do that with people that I've been talking to and just the connections that I've had. I'm not sure yet. I do have a show on Wednesday actually at Homegrown Tavern with a writers round group.
You'd mentioned that you're trying to audition, get more gigs up on Broadway. How's that entire process been kind of preparing for that aspect of things?
It's a little well, I've just been mostly focusing on trying to make sure that I know and remember all of the
traditional songs that are usually played on Broadway,
Mhm.
and then people come in to just drink and hear bad covers of their favorite songs, and they sing along anyway. So, just know I've actually worked downtown, like, for the past, like, 5 years.
Mm.
I worked at Joe's Crab Shack before it became the Barstool Bar.
Yeah.
I've worked at Johnny Cash's for the past several years, and I almost even had a job, like, directly on Broadway. But, I think that particular job not working out, just like for me, it's saying like you need to start pursuing your passions more, because if you keep supplementing yourself with like these little serving jobs, even though I love them, it's not going to continue to help me like get to where I want to be. So that's why I
Mhm.
started auditioning. And anytime someone reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I can be like a backup pianist or I can be a guitarist or something," I just take it to heart. I try to meet I try to meet people where I can meet them, and we just try to figure something out as we go along, because it's also really important to me that the people that play with me I really like and get along
Yeah.
with.
Absolutely. You'd mentioned you're trying to learn and remember the some of the standards that go well on Broadway. What's been the hardest song for you to kind of learn?
Traditional country hasn't been that hard, but I there will come across a time where I work at Johnny Cash's bar right now, but there will come a time where somebody requests a song and I was like, "What is that? I have never heard of that."
Yeah.
But some people do also like request a lot of like modern songs and pop songs, so having to learn a lot of that, even though I may not have heard of it at the
Mm.
time, is also just trying to just lean an ear in and trying to see like, what do I need to know?
Right. So
Yeah.
you have to like really lean in on your musicianship to kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah, yeah, and, my current partner, my boyfriend, he loves country music, so when he's playing stuff in the car, it's easy for me to, pick up on it as well.
Nice. Now, is your partner, is he a musician as well, or is he not in the
No,
industry?
no, he's not in the industry. He has a part-time job managing a card game shop, and
Okay.
he's in school for, what is it? It's, biosecurity, I think.
Okay. Nice. That's really cool. Um, so how often do you get to go back to Memphis? Are you going back pretty consistently, or do you kind of try and stay in Nashville?
I try to stay in Nashville, but I try to go back when it's like family pertaining,
Mm.
usually like a holiday or somebody's birthday, or God forbid a funeral. I've been to a few of those already, but if it's family pertaining or if it's an event, if I have to go like do a film for my director,
Mm.
then I usually make a trip back to Memphis.
Nice, nice. And do you see yourself as your like music career kind of moves forward? Do you see yourself also doing more film work, or do you kind of like the where you're at, where you'll just kind of jump in if he needs an extra or something?
Where I'm at, where he needs an extra, I am comfortable with it, but future-wise, I'm kind of just taking those steps as I go, and
Yeah.
I'm going to go where I feel is calling me. I love doing both, and if I'm able to do both, I will absolutely do both.
Mm. Gotcha, gotcha. That it's really, have you found that your experiences on film sets has helped boost your confidence or helped upgrade or step up your musical performances?
Boost my confidence, yes. Step up musical performances, possibly,
Mm.
because there's some similarity in it where you're kind of I don't know if anyone else would describe it this way, but I feel like sometimes every time I get on stage, I have to play a character, because
Mhm.
I'm actually very introverted, and I keep to myself mostly in real life. But when I step on the stage, I'm supposed to like play everybody's best friend,
Mhm.
whereas on film, I'm supposed to be playing a bartender, a club goer, or whatever my
Yeah,
director needs me to do that day. In a way, it's, like, kind of similar, and a lot of the times I get off stage and I'm like, "I don't even remember what I did up there," but it's fine.
fair, fair, fair. But I do really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us on our pancreatic cancer fundraiser podcast.
Absolutely.
It's a thing near and dear to my heart, so I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with us.
Wonderful, it's no problem at all, thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Absolutely. If anybody wants to check out your music, social media, keep up with shows, any of that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
I'm most active on Instagram, and you can check me out at it's Megan. If you want goofy, entertaining, not musical related things at all, you can check out my TikTok, same handle, it's
Yes.
Megan. But I'm also on Facebook where you can keep up with all of my releases and reports and interviews and all of that.
Awesome. Awesome. What kind of content are you making on TikTok? Are you just doing
I'm
like
good.
the whatever the trends are or
Whatever the trends are. Whatever the
uh,
trends are and whatever like silly video my friends want to do that day. We honestly just make it up as we go along.
fair? That's really cool. I will have to
Thank you.
follow you on TikTok. So
Thank you.
nice. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you everybody for
Absolutely.
thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you all here in a bit.